So first of all, a pleasure to kind of meet you all here. I would like to give an update about Mobotix. Who are we? How are we operating? And basically, why Mobotix? I have the pleasure of being CEO for the company. And also with me today should be our CFO, Klaus Kiener, also in the meeting. So let me give you a quick update on who we are. Mobotix, we basically are based here in Langmile. We are about 1 hour between Frankfurt and close to the French border. This is our premises, our building, as you see it here, where we both have production of our video cameras as well as development of our software solutions. And Klaus, if you go for the next, thank you. So what is our vision? It is to create innovative solutions beyond human vision. And why is that? Simply because Mobotix is not just about producing a surveillance camera. A lot of companies can do that these days. What we are doing is basically creating cameras that are based on German quality, but also cameras that basically are more, you could say, computers on the edge. It's basically, as you can see here, a camera that offers a number of other applications inside the camera. That may be sensors, that may be AI applications. We have just acquired a company in Spain, as an example, developing ALPR number plate recognition and many other solutions in the same way. Let's go for the next, Klaus. So if we look into why Mobotix, then it's basically a matter of defining the difference, our competitive advantage, you might say, to all the other players in a growing market of video surveillance. And here we talk about a market that basically is reflected by, of course, a quite rapid technology development, but also a technology where we see that before it was a matter of developing cameras, now it's a matter of developing cameras and software solutions that basically meet the demand of increased artificial intelligence. In other words, before we could make cameras that could see something, that was good back then. Now it's a matter of joining a technology trend that basically goes more in the direction of, wow, we can make cameras think as intelligent as possible, detect behavior, act on behavior like we would do as human beings. If we go for the next, Klaus. So we, based on that vision, are producing a number of cameras, hardware and software, both for outdoor and indoor applications. We are producing, especially focusing on our so-called thermal technology, which is basically a technology that enables us to see, you could say, temperature changes. We have just obtained an approval for fire detection applications here in the German market and many other certifications that we are currently working upon on the global market that all enable thermal cameras to detect behavior before it happens. And you can imagine the benefit of detecting a fire before it starts up. There are not only financial benefits, but also this can basically save lives in many applications. If we go for the next. Here you see a number of other solutions that we recently have basically started investment in. And this goes in terms of both software applications around the cameras, but also especially related to how we then can take specific behavior and adapt that into the cameras. And here we are looking at basically a number of different possibilities. Number plate recognition is one of the areas we're specializing in, and we have also recently started projects up in terms of healthcare applications. How can we, as an example, make the cameras detect elderly people and their behavior, the problems if they are falling out of a bed, as example. In other words, we talk about the warm hands in the society, and here we can also let the technology do extend what we as people can do when we take care of, as an example, elderly people. If we go for the next, Klaus. So talking about industry, talking about energy, we are specializing in specific vertical solutions and segments where we have said this is where we believe that we can do something special and something extra. I mentioned the healthcare and also the opportunities with thermal technologies. But we can talk a lot more about that given the time today, but rather move on, maybe not so exactly, to the area of where we are represented. So very briefly, global company, founded in 1999, about 320 people globally. And on top of that, we are very proud that we were able to welcome the first of AI companies in our group, Vaxta, Spanish company, focusing especially on number recognition and a technology that is now being integrated into our core platforms. Sales offices around the world, and also with a ownership structure that we'll come back upon, but basically about 65% of our shares today are owned by the conglomerate Konica Minolta that many of you already may know, a big Japanese manufacturer of office solutions, where we see a lot of synergies, not only with the technologies, but also with the sales companies of Konica Minolta globally. If we go for the next. Claus, maybe over to you here, a quick update on the ownership structure and key facts.
Yes, so Mobotix is stock listed, so we are stock listed here in the market segment basic board here, and as already mentioned, our major or majority shareholder is Konica Minolta with nearly 65%. We have a second private investor near Cologne. This is 4.3%, and that we have also some asset management companies who are holding also a certain portion. So the free float is round about 17-18%, and market capitalization is, given the current share price, round about 31 million. We have issued 13.1 million shares, and we have an authorized capital of round about 6 million.
Thank you, Claus. Then back to, we talk about future, we talk about our vision of integrating artificial intelligence into the cameras. Maybe a quick journey of Mobotix. How did we start, and where are we by now? And you see here the journey back from Dr. Hinkel and Sabine Hinkel founded the company here in Kaiserslautern, close to where we are today, and how we during the years have evolved that core technology into our new strategy, which is more focused, again, as I said before, on the solutions rather than product alone, and especially focusing on the advantage we see in being a German company, focusing a lot of course of the quality, but also the cyber security, which we see is being a still more important part, especially for larger end customers. So to put it short, a journey that takes us from what used to be IP camera manufacturer alone to be a data company today, focusing on solutions beyond human vision. And here you see some of our new models that are right now in our research phase. We are launching several new models here also in the coming year, again, based on the same vision outlined here. Konica Minolta, we've been through what we see is a development of Konica Minolta to combine with our other partners today. It is a technology partnership as well as a business partnership, which enable us to, of course, access a lot of customers of Konica Minolta's current customer base, which include thousands of customers, both especially in Japan, in the US, and in the European markets, but also, of course, possibilities to expand our resources by a joint collaboration with R&D colleagues in Japan. Växter are looking at, besides the ALPR, also a number of other applications within number plates and numbers in general. Right now we are looking, of course, in everything that goes from detecting animals, from detecting containers, and everything that basically include a number. You can guess yourself how big that market will be. All up, it is estimated to be 3.8 billion by 2025, which is just the market relating to detecting data with a camera. Again, I could talk a lot more about that, but given the time, let's maybe jump to the next slides here. And back to you, Claus, a bit of journey of the financial data, the journey of Mobotix since we started the, you could say, the changed management process, the new strategy here in 2017, and obviously also the impact that Corona had with us. But Claus, maybe over to you again.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. So in 2016, Konica Minolta purchased here the majority shares here from Dr. Hinkel, from the founder of the company. So since 2016, we have Konica Minolta as a very strategic investor here, and we basically restructured the company here 1 year later. We established a Fit for the Future restructuring program, given some needed or required investments here in our IT platforms and our IT infrastructure, but also in our development areas and also in our sales areas. So this was executed then here, and we saw already in our fiscal year 1920 basically a good turnaround here achieved based on these investments. And of course, here triggered by our Fit for the Future restructuring program. We had basically achieved here in our fiscal year 1920 then around about 67 million product-related revenues, but also a good EBIT margin of 6.2 million. So it was basically a proof that all investments have basically been paid off. And then we faced Corona and also the supply chain issues, also semiconductor issues then in the subsequent years. And so this was then, of course, also the major reason that in our fiscal year 21-22, we experienced here a reduced revenue sales numbers, given project delays here with our customers, but also some issues here, challenges with our suppliers. The supply chain issues were also the major reasons that we couldn't fulfill our targets. And also then the EBIT number was here quite negative. And then we restructured again the company, and we have just closed here our fiscal year 22-23. And this is in line here with our capital market news, which were released here on the 22nd of August this year. And so we have a September year end, and we have nearly completed here our financial statements for our fiscal year 22-23. So we are in line with our projection in terms of revenues, but also EBIT. So bit more than break-even EBIT is basically the result. The financial statement audit has not yet been completed, but will be completed by the end of December. And we can still confirm basically the results here based on our capital market communication here, which took place here in August 2023. Here we have here an outlook of the next 3 years. So we have also released in May 2023 our midterm plan, which is showing here also the revenue growth, but also the improvement in terms of our EBIT ratio. And maybe Thomas, again, back to you, maybe some further information regarding our, not just the strategy, but also the execution, and of course also our target numbers for the next 3 years.
Yes, thank you, Klaus. So to summarize, you could say what has happened over the last years, as Klaus explained it here, is of course quite a bit of a journey. And we also have to admit that in the last years, we have seen a different development that we originally had established when we, or expected when we outlined the original plan. It's clear that the whole impact of Corona, what it meant in terms of impacts, especially in demand, we basically recognized a situation where we initially had a stronger sales than expected. We basically saw that our thermal applications were used, of course, for heat detection in many applications in airports, etc., which was obviously not expected in the midterm plan. That gave us a boost in certain areas, but in other areas, I think it's also clear that we recognized a complete change in the buying behavior compared to what was in our original plan. We then outlined, and I think like many other companies, if not all around the world, how we basically could mitigate that. And after the Corona impact now, then we say have licked the wound, so to say, from last year. We have realized, as Klaus said here, that this was a tough year. We saw it coming maybe a little bit later than others, but all the elements of supply chain challenges, as well as the impact also by macroeconomic factors as war, etc., was very important for us to show that we could mitigate that this year. And therefore, of course, we look forward to communicate our financial statements within the next weeks. The financial statements that basically outline how we then made that, also based on the capital market announcement that was done here in August. So what are we going to do in the next years? It's very clear that the numbers here outline a trend, a development that is focusing upon the strategy I explained before. What is very important for us is that we really live the strategy, moving from a classic product manufacturing approach to a solution focus. That's also why we have shown you here some examples of projects that we have done already. These are some of the more maybe known end users and also end users that we have been allowed to talk about, because a lot of our projects are obviously gathered by a lot of security, and therefore also that we cannot share as many of our customers that we would like to. But we can confirm that we have installed solutions in the Vatican, we have in Pompeii in Italy, and also all the way up to Iceland, where we again are installing our cameras here under what we might dare to call extreme conditions. You see here that the cameras are installed in very rough environments, in this case obviously very cold, but that also got the way around down to when we talk about areas not only in Italy, of course, but even further south in Middle East projects where we are up to 60 degrees with the same camera that is installed in Iceland. So one of the key facts in our hardware is that it is established, it is built on quality, but also making it possible to install a camera without moving parts in all the most rough conditions of the world. And that's why we have cameras and places here, but also in, as an example, skiing areas and many other areas where you have kind of tougher weather conditions that the cameras can survive in. Now, the strategy, this is what took us to where we are today. But the strategy moving forward is that we now are analyzing which vertical markets we want to focus upon in the years to come. That means that we are analyzing what are the needs, as an example, in a company doing industrial applications. If we are looking into what is the need of a hospital, what is a need of a retail store, of a parking area, of public traffic monitoring, etc. So rather than producing cameras in a good quality and then apply them to an installation, we have basically turned around and saying, how do we, as a manufacturer, understand what end users in specific vertical markets really need? And this is a journey that we are on. It's a difficult journey as a manufacturer to not only make great products, but also really understanding what are the key success factors, what are the needs at end user level. We have outlined a number of working groups, both with our customers, with partners, with other technology partners, that basically enable us to understand, as an example, what is required in areas like the Vatican here, Pompeii, in Iceland, but also in many other applications. What is it that is required now, and what is the behavior we can detect? So as an example, with artificial intelligence, it is possible to do everything from age detection to face recognition, to recognizing behavior in front of cameras, and that the cameras can basically detect an happening. You might say that might be an alarm. As an example, if we take the Vatican here, a person moving into a room with a special color of clothing, with a special way to move, can detect an alarm compared to another person. You can even, and this is where the technology is now and where it will also go in the next years, enable a pattern and a behavior. And if it is not already produced by one of our technology partners, then we also have development colleagues that basically can develop the application that is required for the customer. So one of the elements in this strategy is also that we today are working with a number of smaller startup companies that have specialized maybe in one area, like number plates, Verkstedet, but that could also be in other areas where they can make a difference for customers in these vertical areas. And all that together is concluding a strategy based on hardware and software, leading to applications focused on these specific 6 vertical markets as we addressed before. That is the vision of Mobotix, going beyond human vision in the years to come, outlined by a clear financial plan, of course, and also a plan where we obviously would like to look into potential further M&A activities. And that's one of the reasons that we also are presenting here today, to understand the questions that you may have, but also a reflection of the strategic focus. And with that, I think our time is running out. So I will pause here and basically open up for questions.
Well, Thomas, thank you very much for the presentation. That was very, very interesting. Obviously, COVID has hit every single company, and the supply chain that comes with it, the disruption was also a challenge that I hope is now overcome for most companies like yours. I think one of the interesting things, so first of all, I want to invite everyone that watches. We have over 50, 60 participants right now. Please put your question in the Q&A box. You have the chance to talk with the CEO, with the decision makers. This is the reason why this conference exists, so we can have your feedback. It's very important we hear from you, and you guide us in this Q&A session. Well, one of the most interesting part that I find is really the transition from product to service growth. This is really something that has been center point of conversation in the past few years for many companies. I can see exactly how you guys are transitioning. So can you, for example, tell us a little more of the services you're providing? Let's say you give us an example of someone walking in the Vatican or in Pompeii, but basically what kind of hub you need to create of solutions to be able to provide one of those, for example, for hospital or for the Vatican? How many participant stakeholders you have tied around the solution you guys are selling?
Yeah, that's a great question, and of course I could most likely talk hours about that, so I'll try to keep it short. But you could say, if we look at it today, then we are working with, I would say, in average right now, about 20 companies. We could actually work with a lot more, but for us it's important that the companies we work with are also fulfilling, let's call it, our compliance and code of conduct, meaning that we have decided that we don't work, as an example, with Chinese companies. And this is not in any way disrespect for China as a country, but more of the technologies and also the concerns that I think many of you have read in the media around how, especially analyzing pictures and surveillance might be, you could say, abused or end up in the wrong areas. So for us, and based on our cybersecurity and code of conduct, we are focusing more on, let's say, companies that we know, where we know who's behind them. We know also the philosophy of those kind of software companies. So then back to your questions, how many do we need? You can basically say our strategy is to more adapt it from the end-use applications, looking as an example into, again, we can take the Vatican and say, what kind of applications could they need if we look in the years to come? As I said, if you take roomware, it could be face detection, it could be behavior detection, age detection. That's just examples of what could be. If it's an industrial company, it could maybe be, again, number detection. It could be heat detection for the thermal cameras that are more relevant. So it's very much based on the specific application that we are looking into, what kind of technology partners we can use. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely it does. And then adding to that, or continuing in the same way, are you moving into more a SaaS business model? Is this something that you guys is going to grow, and is that how much you see that representing in the near future?
That's definitely a discussion we've had. We say right now it is not the plan to go more in the SaaS direction. We are looking into specific applications where it may be relevant. But when we talk to our customers in general, then when we talk about investments in the total solutions, then where we more see the SaaS market exploding is more in terms of how you store the data. And there you can definitely see, especially in the US market, that there is an increased requirement for, you could say, SaaS, but in general, video as a service, making sure that you have your whole management of the surveillance solution and the system, the applications done in the cloud. This is something that we see being driven from the US market right now, where we in Europe still are a bit more concerned, also related to the GDPR. Obviously, in European countries, many European customers prefer to have the data close to where they are.
Perfect. And then we got a question about your debt situation. Can you tell us exactly how it looks, the syndicated loan agreement, the terms, and so on? What happened on this side?
Absolutely, Klaus. Maybe to you on that question.
As also mentioned, Koenig & Bannholt is a very strategic investor, and we have also used these opportunities to refinance here, basically to replace bank loans here by intercompany loans here from Konica Minolta. We have now basically around about 28.5 million. That's the current status here of our intercompany loans here granted by Konica Minolta. This is beneficial for us because we have more stability also in terms of interest rates. So this has basically executed here in the last 9 months to reduce basically the bank loans here via intercompany loans. And this is also important for us to execute our investments in order to achieve here our target numbers here based on our published here midterm plan. So that's basically the current situation. So we have replaced bank loans by intercompany loans, and the current intercompany loans amount to around about 28.5 million. We have still some bank loans, some bank liabilities of around about 10 million, which is basically here also mainly related to our premises here, to our buildings. So these are basically mortgage loans, but all short-term utilized credit lines are now basically were transferred to Konica Minolta, which is showing the importance here of Mobotix here in the Konica Minolta group in terms of a strategic development partner, but also a big customer, and now also here a very important partner for us in terms of financing.
Okay, and adding to that partnership of Konica, maybe if you can discuss a bit about how it works on their side, what's the advantages for Konica, obviously, and then if you guys teams has been productive together, are you coming with some interesting project in the pipeline, and so how is the synergy going?
Yeah, I can give that. So obviously we are under an NDA here in our partnership with Konica. So I hope for the understanding that I cannot be specific on customers. What I can say is that Konica Minolta, this is also given their public statements, is a company that obviously is represented globally with around 40,000 employees on a global base. The company is, because they have decided strategically to move into the area of so-called VSS, Video Security Solutions, and has outlined that to be one of the strategic focus areas. Now, that is obviously very interesting for us as a standalone company, that we have not only a majority shareholder, but also a very active shareholder that here can basically enable us to work with their colleagues as well as their customers on a global base. And if I understood the question correct, the question is also how we do that. It's basically done by the fact that Konica Minolta has outlined a number of business development managers within our technology. We are training them, and they are then going out basically articulating this value proposition and learning their salespeople to do so. So we are not naive in a way that we believe we can train about, I think it's about 10,000 salespeople on our technology from one day to another. So therefore, the strategy is rather that we train some, you might call it super users, and that they are then internally in Konica Minolta facilitating the push, recognizing the demand, getting contact to the customers, and they work then with specific experts on our side. In that way, it can scale. In that way, we can also recognize the core customers sooner than if we would go out and train all 10,000 salespeople in one go. And
well,
I can say so far that has also progressed.
Sorry, but I have to stop there because time is up. It is 10 o'clock, and people want to hear the next presentation as well as they wanted to hear yours. So, Mr. Lauston and Mr. Knina, I'm very happy to have you at the 9th IIF. It was very interesting presentation, and we wish you the best of luck in the continuation of your business, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.